Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Creature Corner episode 52. My name is Jared Krichevsky. I am a creature and character concept artist working in the industry today. Worked on things like Godzilla vs. Kong and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Upcoming movies like Megan and Godzilla and Kong. Come hang out with me at Creature Corner. This is our holiday episode. Matt Millard is off tonight, so it's just going to be me. So we're going to be hanging out, drawing some turkey kaijus. So that's kind of the plan and prompt for tonight. I've collected some turkey reference over here on the left-hand side. I'm just going to put on some music. All right, so the program I am in is called Krita. It is a free software, I think available for desktop only. I hope they one day maybe do an iPad app. I don't know. Uh, so let's get started. Before I jump into a bigger drawing, I'm just gonna do something kind of like thumbnail-y sized, fast and easy, and then we'll be off and running. So let's start it. Usually when I warm up, I like to do like little spirals. I'm using a Cintiq. Yes, thank you for popping Krita in there. Um, I'm using a Cintiq head on a swivel arm. So this is how I've been working for the last 12 years. This is my preferred way of working. I like to draw right on the screen. And there we go. So I like to start with spirals because it starts with the shoulder. So I'll do shoulder exercises and then I'll do kind of like elbow exercises and then wrist exercises. Why spirals? I don't know. They're just fun. Reason why I like Krita, and I'll show you kind of the default that it comes in. This is how it looks. So I haven't tweaked it a whole lot. So I like everything on the right-hand side of everything. I'm right-handed, so I like everything accessible on the right-hand side. So I just made a custom workspace, and that's it. Then you're ready to go. I like uh, I like Krita. The reason why I like it is because it is pretty intuitive once you get a little while. You spend a little bit of time in the program. What's up? Thank you very much. Hey, man. Welcome. Hello. Okay. So the media. This is what keeps me coming back is the pencils feel like pencils. The markers feel like markers. So I like it. There's a lot that I can do with it. I was working on this thing the other day. I've been kind of enjoying the pleasure of drawing again. So pretty much this is what it looks like. This is just pencil work, and I just had a lot of fun just noodling on Hagwitch with a giant bloated tick on her. So I've been coloring it in, just having a good time. So that's not what we're here to do. We're here to do turkey kaiju. So I'm just going to start really, really small, and I might switch into a marker kind of look, just because it's a big blocky pen. So I'll just block out a little torso. Some big legs, and then maybe the torso is coming up and around. So when I think kaiju, I definitely think of Pacific Rim and Godzilla. I'm wearing a Shin Godzilla t-shirt. So I'm thinking maybe very mutated, very gnarly. So there's also something really big about all the shapes too. Got that big. Of course, you got the gorilla body, but like they have these like big protrusions on the back. Then you have your more kind of like crab, insect-like kind of kaiju, which is always like an easy like thing you can turn to. But like my favorite is definitely like the knife head. I just love the big bladed shape. So I think we'll start with that as kind of like the base. We'll try different kinds of bodies, and we'll be off to the races. So I'm just going to zone in. Come tell me what's up. Say hey. Say hi. What are you working on? So when I work, I usually like to start with the body shape. I think it's once you get that locked, then you can start playing with some more abstract things on the face. I think right now I'm just looking for an interesting silhouette, something that would be befitting a turkey kaiju. So I could go with like more of a T-Rex body style. And one of my kind of like things, I always tend to draw too big in the beginning. And so that's usually how it starts. And then it involves me kind of like shrinking and moving things around. Um, I should work smaller. Like ideally, you want to work like this big in the beginning, just when thumbnailing things out, because it's just much easier to control proportion when you're not dealing with large volumes. See, tend to go too big, so I find I'm pulling myself back a lot. So something maybe vulture like that would be a kind of a good. It's in the realm, so we'll give him like a big hunchback, right? But this doesn't. It's a turkey monster, but it doesn't scream like kaiju yet. I don't know how many I'm going to do of these, but we'll do it until it feels right. So I usually like to start with the mass of the body. It's the largest mass. You can start with the head or however you feel like you like to draw. So if I give him like big arms and then maybe like smaller, tiny arms, little baby arms, definitely thinking more like featherless and mutated. could go with one that's more skeletal. Maybe like a big old blade. It's like if they came to you and they said, hey, we need you to make a turkey monster that's going to be in the next Godzilla movie. Like, what runs through your head? Like, that's all they give you. How do you come up with the turkey monster that's going to fit in the Godzilla universe? Because in this scenario, this is a Thanksgiving Godzilla movie. Maybe we'll chain some bodies together. So you got like multiple legs. Creature centaur. And turkeys all have that like, look at this. Like that's straight up like a horn. Look at that skin. So that'd be fun to like pop in on some of these guys and like really accentuate it. So take this idea and kind of like push it a little harder. They have like weird turkey shapes. Maybe we go with like the big gorilla arms on this one, but he's still got wings in the back. Like at this stage, don't worry about it. It's just about like markers and ideas. Don't worry about perfectionism. Just a very rough thumbnail. Okay, let's try one that has. I like this vulture feel, so maybe if I just keep running with that, maybe if we do two legs in the front, two in the back, and it's more like spidery. This. And there's this big kind of shell here, and then you got the turkey guy face. Then he's got like the bird's wings, but it's more mantis like. Again, this is not like a pretty drawing, but it is just like functional. All right, let's see. And then when in doubt, zoom out. I'm going to shrink it down. Just make a little tiny thumbnail. See, this always happens. I always work too big. I should be like, ideally, just like working down here. Okay, maybe this one has a weird spider arms and a weird neck, and then like weird arms coming off of the neck. And then the tail kind of comes out like this. kind of fun. And then big like raptor claws. So taking like little features and accentuating them. What's up, man? Yes, I did have family today. We were giving my niece a tour. Yeah, pretty fun. Pretty fun tonight. Hold on, I'm gonna get the dog real quick. Haley? Oh my god. Yeah. Sorry. Yes, she is a perspective. So just giving her the tour, talking about the life. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. She had a good time. She likes Gnomon a lot. Okay. Whew, there we go. I actually like this one a lot. This is the one I'm probably going to run with. You can tell it's just kind of working. And also, I started small, so I kind of feel like I did it right, but I'm going to explore just a few more ideas. Well, she's going to have to work just as hard, man, if not harder, right? I mean, shoot, man, I remember my first day. The day was scary as hell. See, now I'm just doing like weird shapes, just to say we can make weird shapes. And we did it. This one's really mutated. We could go mutate. I mean, I would love to do mutate. We did mutated turkeys last year, but it'd be fun to see like spider turkey or something kind of like that. But it's got like a body, like a human body, and it's just like, oh, it's part turkey. I don't know. This one is also kind of fun because it's got the big horn on the head. We could emphasize the tail feathers in the back. Let's see. We haven't done enough like centaur. So taking the main body, and then there's kind of the connective body, torso, pelvis. Trilateral legs. It's got like big wings. But then it would need like little like weird bird wings that kind of make it like centipede like. Could be fun. So like spider mutant turkey. This one's pretty fun, where the that like overhang goes really low. So that creates kind of a fun shape. All about fun shapes. Yeah, Matthew, man, that guy can't stop eating pudding. I keep telling him, man, you have got to stop eating so much pudding. It's just like all day with the pudding, man. So I don't know. Anyway, we're just making some monsters. Matt wanted to be here tonight. He wanted to be here, but dude just can't stop eating pudding. So, okay, maybe this one's more like it's just got a weird, huge head. It's, the weird head is just kind of like, it just drags along this huge head. I don't know where I was going with this one. It's definitely, that's way too big. But the reason why I like to, thumbnail stuff out is it's just like you gotta rip through a few ideas first. At least I do. Like that's how I feel. Like I can't start from nothing. I gotta try something out unless I have a very clear vision of what I want. Hey, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Um, yes, please check out my website, my portfolio. Uh, Thank you so much. Oh, I didn't know you could do a chat overlay. I could do a chat overlay. Do you know about this? It's kind of cool. I mean, I didn't. Whatever. Yeah, it is. It's like huge. I'm talking to James backstage. Yeah, it's huge. It's really dumb. Anyway, what can you do? I'm learning this software. All right. I've probably messed around enough. I'm just gonna pick this one because I liked this one the most. Um, what do you guys think? You got a favorite one? This is just kind of where I landed in a few minutes, but I feel like I should get on with it for the sake of demonstration. Like if I definitely like the three to go with would be like one, two, and then like three. This guy's kind of bland, kind of generic. So, this could be cooler if I developed it. This also could be cool, maybe as a different thing. This one also feels more mutated, which could kind of fit, but let's say I'm just trying to fit into the kind of like Kaiju Godzilla world. Then let's go with number one. Although this guy would actually work too. So what do you think? One or two? Two. I got one vote for two. You tell me. You tell me, and I'll make it. Two. Okay. Three looks the coolest. With that big long thing, that yeah, yeah. Okay. All right. We got one from one. Thank you, Roland. Okay, so far, 2 seems to be the way to go. A frog turkey kaiju. What would a frog turkey kaiju look like? It would have it would have the body, it would have the legs, and he would be like on his like claws here, and then like a big head and like a big, but it's got like a turkey beak. Frog turkey. That's weird. I don't know. I'll just take emojis. Maybe I'll do that one day. As we'll just combine emojis into a creature. All right. So I'm gonna say 2. Let's go with 2. That had the most votes. I'm cool with that. Let's run with it. So what I'll do is I'll grab my lasso tool. You have to say it like that too. You have to say a lasso. No. Just pop this guy kind of in the corner. Move this over. Get over there. There is a cool feature where you can import reference into Krita like this, but I like pure ref anyway for this. So that's not really changing. Okay, we're gonna take this, scale it up. That. Do you always use Krita for the thumbnailing? There's it only for demo purposes. Um, no, Krita has like fast become my like go-to drawing program. So I'm using it now to deliver pieces to clients or sketches to clients. Um, Now I'm going into Photoshop for very specific kind of color tweaking. But like I love it for paint overs, and I did my whole Cuptober series in Krita. So I'm using it, with all intent. So I love it. I love it. So this is just a thumbnail sketch, but I'm going to draw over it again. And this is going to be my like again, a rough, ugly pass, but I'm just trying to figure out like the structure underneath. So this is just a cylinder. I'm going to locate kind of the spine and just using another kind of, this is a cylinder with like the side cut out. So this would be the shape going this way. This would be the back side of it. If I were to like cut the holes out in the arms, like what their location is. So thinking about the structure underneath this thing, kind of work out some perspective lines. And I'm just going to merge it down with my like thumbnail layer. And that's just to keep me from like getting attached to it. And if there's like one fundamental property I kind of run with, it's that drawing is redrawing. So I'm just trying to hit some of the perspective. And it's kind of funny I know this was in the thumbnail, but I've just done a very similar creature to this, and I kind of want to change it up. This is very, again, it's kind of like this gorilla body. And I've seen this gorilla body like 1,000 times. So I'm just wondering, and you just can't get away from it. I'm wondering what can I do that I can break this like cycle. So I'm gonna actually go back. You just can't get away from it. I'm gonna actually combine this guy. I'm gonna combine 1 and 2. Like trying to break my own habits. So like what would happen if I did this? Yeah, if I did this. Yeah, it needs more wing action for sure. How long does the thumbnailing process take for getting the brief to delivering the first sketch? I usually give them like a couple days so I can just like work and like give myself opportunities to fail. So I don't immediately deliver like thumbnails to them. It also depends on the client, like what they like to see. Some might like more drawing in general. They might like more illustrative drawing. I wonder if I can combine this like that. So I've got it. I'm gonna just redraw it. So very, very rough, like ugly pass, usually. Again, I start too big. And usually when I start too big, I'll zoom in as well, build out from there. Okay, big like tail. Let's see. It's got that cool, weird head shape. And then like down here is the turkey. And it's like got serrated beak kind of stuff. Trying to get the arm off the ground so it would just like hang there. So these legs are gonna have to be longer. Bigger tail for balance, maybe. So arm goes back down this way. Get the mantis wings. It's got kind of a short torso. Maybe I'll just elongate that a little bit. Let's see. So my process is a little ugly in the beginning because I'm just like trying to like reach a silhouette somehow. I'm definitely not like the artist who like hits it running out of the gate. I don't think. It takes me a while to like get where I'm going. And that's like I think that's just part of the process. A lot of times it's just like every time you sit down to draw, you're like, how do I draw again? How do I do this? All right. Losing sight of the turkey now, so I gotta bring the turkey back. I think that's really coming from the head. What if I put that head back here? There it is. That feels more turkey-like. Yeah, that immediately feels better. Give him that big long snout thing, so we can actually combine our ideas that we were using earlier. It's not like we toss them out the window. Yeah, that feels a lot better. It's kind of the hardest part, always, I think, of being an artist is just trusting yourself and trusting the process. Even if you've done it a dozen times, there's always like more to learn as you solidify like what you like to do. I'm personally very envious of artists who are like have their thing that they do, and that's their thing that they do, and they love that. I'm trying to like I would love to find that thing that I do, but I like to explore a lot. I like to try a lot of different styles. Turkey Kaiju. That feels better. Shrink down just a little bit more. I want to make this tail really long. I shrink it down a little bit more. See, I would rather like fix it at this stage than any other stage. Like before I start drawing, it's kind of like, fast, loose, you know, chunky. It's a lot easier for me to deal with it at this stage than drawing. We can still kind of like combine some of these elements together. Feathers and scales. I think that's actually feeling pretty good. Yeah, I like it. Okay, I'm going to shrink it down again a little bit. Just always draw too big. Okay. So then I'm going to knock this down and switch into my pencil, which is just like it's like a blah 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 mechanical pencil, but it's got some really nice texture to it. So when it's like at this stage, it feels like you're using the side of your pencil, and you're getting that like broad kind of stroke. And then also when you shrink it down really small, it feels like a nice sharpened pencil. So I love this. Love this guy. This is my favorite. Other good ones. I do like this regular pencil brush. This has more of an edge to it. So you can see it's got like that hard line, faded edge. So this is also a really great brush that has. This is more like what I would use for shading, but it's got like a cool kind of pencil feel to it. Most of the time, though, I'm just going to be using like this mechanical pencil or some of the other pencils. I found this one I like a lot. All their brushes, like their inks and everything, just feel really, really natural to me, and that's just because I grew up uh, drawing on paper and pen. I used like a lot of micron pens, and gel pens are my favorite. When I sketch, I use mostly gel pens. Those are my favorite to sketch with. Usually, I have a garbage book. Like it's like my ugly book of like ugly drawings, not for like public display of like here's my pretty sketchbook. No, this is like my like workspace where I work out shit. All right. When you work traditionally, did you sketch with silhouette with markers? Yeah, you take like a warm Prismacolor, which is very close to what I'm doing here. I would take like a very warm light Prismacolor marker, and I would basically just work out a silhouette like this, and then same thing as I would draw with a Sharpie or pen on top of it. So I'm gonna like put the eye right about there. And this is just going to be, again, my kind of like rough sketch. So I'm going to try and move a little faster. And then we'll do the blade. And then like open like turkey mouth. There's that thing that's going to be hanging over the side here. Like weird turkey jumble. Since I'm looking at more turkeys right now, I need to be referencing them. Like this is a really cool pattern. Can definitely like use this. The hole in the ear right here, all this kind of like ugly skin. That's all gonna like flow up here. Let's do all this like weird puffy neck stuff. Yeah, look at that. Gnarly. So right now the idea is just kind of like loosey-goosey sketching. So the idea is I'm moving fast and kind of making choices. Again, I'm not going to be precious about this one because I'm just going to draw on top of it again. That leg. I'm going to put like the hips like up here. And this is kind of an accident in the silhouette. But what I kind of like about it is I could kind of cut a little hole out of here. It would be like a fun place for some negative space. So, think about the bird feet here, claws. And then I'm thinking of like a big Jurassic Park velociraptor claw. Some scaling that would go up this way. That neck to feel like it's bunching up against it. This is just kind of like the body structure. It's a little squat, you know, but I kind of like that. It's this weird turkey jumbler coming at you. Maybe I will extend it a little bit. Oh, here's a cool feature inside of Krita. Is you can actually group stuff together, right? So normally you would have to like merge them together or do some kind of trick, but you can actually Control G, group them together, just like a normal layer. And then if I grab the upper group and I select everything, it allows you to move both layers at the same time. It's kind of cool. Mind-blowing stuff. No, please. Please ask away. Ask questions. I am here for you guys. So I am here to like hang out with you guys, share my process with you. So, if you get something out of it, that makes me happy. So come hang out. No, I've been thinking about drawing kaiju turkeys all day. Yeah, I like this weird hump here. So at every stage, we're just always rethinking things. I'm never like, I don't ever feel like I'm locked into stuff. I kind of like weird. And then I do want to give them like little baby birdwing arms. Maybe they're folded up like this, like held up against the chest. Maybe he's got more wings coming out this way. That would actually help push the silhouette. So I'm gonna look up hairless birds or featherless birds. Featherless owl. But I want to open it up to like featherless birds. Just any kind of. Look at that guy. Aw. This is definitely helpful. This is a great reference. This is a great reference, he said, Googling. Yeah, this featherless owls. It's kind of what I'm mostly thinking in terms of like the skin, and then also like how serrated the arms are, and that web of skin right there. I mean, this is even the shape of the skull is really fascinating. These big bladed cheekbones, so cool. And then this is great claw reference. Look at the V in the breastbone here. I mean, I just like to draw monsters. I don't know, but this is cool. So we're just gonna collect that reference. So I'll actually like put that in, right? But we'll just accentuate it. Again, I want that big raptor claw. So again, this is kind of like my ugly sketch. I'll also draw my like ugly rough sketch in like non-photo blue. So I'll colorize it blue sometimes. And that also makes me feel like it's closer to traditional because I used to draw with non-photo blue a lot. In this case, not working. I'll go back. Okay. Look at that plumage. Look at that plumage. I need like just a photo of a turkey plumage. Man, that's some plumage. Look at all this. Look at all this plumage. Man, it's a cool shape. Look at these things. These are crazy. A weird animal. What a weird, weird animal. Nobody ever compliments my plumage. I get all puffed up. That is so cool. Look at that. This weird, like, pocket. That's a super neat detail to put on it. I just think that's cool. Yeah, look at that neck. Oh my god, that's amazing. It's crazy. It's like hidden. It's so weird. Right. So I actually need like plumage. So basically, kind of like this. There we go. I'd say a good chunk of the job is research. It's like looking up stuff and learning new facts about animals. Um, I'm constantly absorbing new information, learning new stuff. So when I find like a great YouTube channel, you know, there's so much like knowledge and information out there. Let's scale this down again. Okay, while I'm here, pushing that back into perspective. I'm actually like thinking in 3D, you know, like if I were putting this down inside a ZBrush, thinking about that perspective. I want to take all this like junk here and I just want to put it all over the body. The turkey kaiju, man. And then we can do like the fanning plumage out here. And like a human would be like down here. Be like, help me. Like this dude's gonna have a bad time. That's a rating here. And then yeah, I don't want to lose the other ideas I had, which were the kind of like bladed wing tips. So I didn't lose that idea. Slowly kind of like creep the opacity down on my marker drawing. Okay. Down to a little bit more. Cool. All right. So then I'm done with this layer. I'll just merge it together. Then and drop the opacity down. Excuse me. And then I'll drop the opacity down. Just like that, really low. Again, more of a guide point. And then I start doing like a nice kind of drawing pass over on top of this. Hey everybody, if you're just joining in, hello, welcome to Creature Corner. We're doing a turkey kaiju. No stuffing. So for the most part I've been zoomed out the whole time. But now I wanna like enjoy the details. So I'm gonna start with the face and kind of get the character. Some good old fashioned drawing. I've got the beak here. That overlap. This is just gnarly. So, okay, question. Have you worked as a freelancer remote? If so, do you have some advice on how to get in touch with studios? Most of the time, I only see on site positions. So, my question is, how would you approach them and how would you phrase your message? Good question. I am a freelancer. I've been working remote for almost 5 years. I started working remote in 2019, just before the pandemic. So I was kind of already set up when it hit. And so I was kind of not fortunate. I mean, I was fortunate that I managed to keep working through that time. I mean, there was kind of the initial shock and nobody was working. And then as things kind of started picking up, a lot of creatives were like, "Hey, we've got ideas. Let's, you know, pay for artists at least." So I was very fortunate to get to work on some stuff, while I was at the, during the pandemic. I worked at Luma for a short time. Um, the difference is that I've kind of over the years I've managed to gain some clients who I've been very grateful to work with. And so my situation is a little different. What I would say is you got to keep putting your work out there. So if you're trying to get attention from people that want to hire you, you need to be putting out work consistently, that's of a high quality nature, and just doing so, posting on social media. Excuse me. Um, and building up a presence for yourself online, making sure that you have a website and doing all these things. If you already have a portfolio, what a lot of artists don't realize, the job, a good chunk of the job is just marketing yourself and your work. So if you put yourself and your work out there, you will get people to get eyes on it. I think a lot of studios, thankfully, are more open to remote than they were pre-pandemic. I know a lot of places are doing hybrid or back in studio kind of things. Every place is different, so you have to kind of like feel it out. Um, what I've noticed is that a lot of studios, they have to legally put uh, an ad out on LinkedIn or public job sites, but usually they already have a list of people that they're kind of in touch with. So it's just kind of like getting in touch with those people. Like there's the networking part of the job as well. So it's a challenge, you know, um, getting your work out there and building an audience. So it takes time, you know, as well. So just be patient, keep focusing on the work. And you know, the other side of the work is the marketing, it's the personal stuff, it's the connections, it's the networking. So much of it is networking. And then making a list of studios that you want to work for. Because, you know, what I usually say is like make a list of like your top like 10 studios, right? Top 10 studios that you would want to work for. And then you do like your top five and then your bottom five. And you just kind of go down the list and solidify in your mind the place you want to work for. And so if you have like studio number one could be ILM or Blur, or if you're in games, Sony Santa Monica, you know, or Naughty Dog. Like, where do you want to work? Make that list, and then you know, look at who works there, and start matching their work, and start putting out work like that. And so, if you do that, um, you will find your place. You know. Go! Yes, hello, sir. Welcome. Just me tonight. Um, yes, my pleasure. Of course. Um, back question here: is Krita good for painting? Yes, I love it for painting. Um, I find myself using more of the markers here, but there are some like cool paintbrushes in Krita. There's some cool like stamps, which is like, you know, big whoop. Everybody's got stamps. But I do like the spray. This feels very natural, along with this kind of spray. And then there are some like cool stamps and patterns. There's like nice halftone stuff, which I like a lot. And then it's got some like cool landscaping tools as well. So this would be for like rocks and stuff. I'm sure a better painter would have a time with this. I'm not like a landscape guy, but I should practice. But it's got some cool features. You can use it. Let's see. I don't know what this guy does. Oh, it's kind of a oh, that's cool. Lasso for shapes. Everybody needs shapes. That's pretty cool. Oh, it's like alchemy. Yeah, that's why. And it's got a mirror and wrap mode too, which is pretty cool. So you can, right? So you can do all that stuff. This is cool. See, lots of toys to play with. So I like this program a lot, and it feels like thick, which is kind of cool. I wonder what color would do. Yeah, see, that feels really cool. And then it also has a wrap mode too, which I'm using now. You can see it goes like, this is useful for textures. which I've used before for making alphas, things like that. But okay, let's get at this. Let's go back to drawing. We're drawing turkeys. Don't you get it? We're drawing turkeys. Let's draw some turkeys. These big, like, weird sacks. Their skin is so just, like, puffy. So you do kind of like one up, one down, like this. Little nostrils. Maybe I'll give him like a really strong tooth as well. With a couple like little teeth. Uh, Birds do have like serrated beaks, and if you've ever seen like bird tongues, there's all kinds of like weird bird tongues too. Uh, the weirdest one is like hummingbirds and woodpeckers. Um, Hummingbirds, their tongues are so long they wrap around their skull and actually cushion the skull in flight. Yeah, super weird, right? They're actually like wrapping around the skull. Um, and then there's like eagles, and look at the eagles actually have like hooks. They actually have these like crazy little hooks in their tongue. Look at that thing. Insane, right? And it makes sense when you think about like how they have to capture and kill prey. Um, Flamingos, for example, they have these serrated tongues, right? So that's a cool feature we can, adapt. And then, yeah, like woodpeckers, they definitely like their tongue wraps around and like cushions the brain, so when they peck on the wood, it doesn't like give them concussions. Yeah, flamingos, I love their weird beaks. They're weird, freakish. What a freaky animal, man! It's a freaky animal, man. There are also some birds that have more like spear-like tongues. Kind of like shoot out a little bit. Yeah, here's a woodpecker. Yeah, so the woodpecker actually like cushions the brain, which is crazy. Look at that thing. So weird. God, that's terrifying. Look at that animal. Look at that guy. Everything scares me. So I just look at this stuff and I get inspiration. They're like, Jared, what scares you? And I'm like, everything. Everything scares me. All scary, baby. Just trying to get some. Also, what's nice about it is that every brush is also an eraser. So I hit uh, E here, and that just makes it in eraser mode. So I keep my index finger just pointed on the E. So I'll typically start with like the face because it's just the most fun. I also don't really worry about like having my outlines too clean either. I find that if you do, it tends to look kind of mechanical. So I like, personally for me, I like to have my drawings with like a lot of energy because I want to make the line kind of exciting. And I find that like the artists I'm drawn to, they have a really kind of loose, it's kind of a looser outline. So now I want to look at that weird horn texture. Look at this weird, incredible. Right, so, and there's like little hairs coming off of it too. So I'm gonna like totally adapt that. It's just so gnarly. So I'm as I'm kind of doing this, I'm thinking about the contour. Imagine, imagine having to fight one horse-sized duck. Yes, true. Hello from Poland. Hi, hi from Los Angeles. Thanks for joining us. What are your favorite brushes in Krita? Finding a nice brush for color is always a bit of a struggle. Um, I'll go back to this lady. Um, like I will pick. I want to get like some color dodge in here. So I'll just. I mean, my favorite is I like these markers a whole lot. The brushes are really good. Like they have a little bit of hair at the end of them. Hmm, but I really like these markers a whole lot because they feel really natural. Let me put this to a color dodge. Kind of see. It just feels very brushy. Why that's so I like basically just using the markers, just because that feels closer to kind of like what I kind of grew up using. Um, but you know the paintbrushes are really great. I like all of them. So it's kind of like find you have to experiment and find like something you like. I mean, because we're all a little different. And I say, you know, find if you look for what you kind of like feels most natural to you. So for me, I like using the pencil and yeah. I always spend like when I'm learning a new program, I will just kind of like jump in and just like try a bunch of stuff real quick. I'll be like, what's this do? What's that do? What's this do? Um, so that's just the way I like to operate. And it takes me a while before I find something I'm comfortable with, even a process. So I'm just kind of like locking in my process again. Sometimes I want to start with a chunky brush, and sometimes I want to just use pen and ink. This gel pen feels like just it feels just like the stuff I used to use, you know, all the time. So sometimes I'll go over it again with a little bit of ink on top. It feels just like real stuff. It's just awesome. I haven't like found a program. Even Procreate, I don't feel comfortable in Procreate at all. Like, and it's really frustrating. So I'm like, man, everybody's doing this cool stuff in Procreate, and I just don't like it. It's not working for me. But for some reason, Krita just like feels good, feels natural. And then also, I'm using my Cintiq, and that feels more comfortable as well. Like, I don't like sitting on the couch and drawing because I just feel like I'm not working on anything cool. I don't know. Good question. I have not tried animation yet, but I've also heard it's good. So I would like to try it too. Um, have I tried Affinity? No, what is that? Is that on iPad? I will try it. I'll try anything. Um, do I ever sculpt on the iPad? Sometimes. Um, I still feel like it's a little clunky, but it's fun for like getting a base out. But I don't. Again, I like to be able to use my shoulder and my elbow when I draw and sculpt. I'm kind of like physical when I work. I like that feeling. So if I don't get it, I'm like I get grumpy. And you know, uh, kudos to like anybody who like uses it and they're like good at it because I'm like I feel like there's something I'm missing. I've heard of people who like tape paper to their iPad, or there's a thing you can buy that feels like paper, but I don't think that would solve my problem. I am using Autodesk Sketchbook on iPad, and that kind of feels close, but I don't like their layout. So that bugs me. Everything bugs me. And that's just because I'm weird. It's just weird. But Krita, and I started using Krita, and like it just felt natural, paper-like. Is that a thing? Is that like a thing that you paper-like? I don't know. Hey, welcome to everybody who's joining us at Creature Corner. Thanks for coming and hanging out. Doing some mutant turkey kaiju. Like, there's no way I'm going to be able to finish this tonight. Like, not at all. But it doesn't matter. I'm just having fun. So I'll just kind of indicate the feathers because I don't really want to draw a bunch of them. And then here's this big webby arm. So when thumbnailing, oh wow, it's like a screen protector that's meant to feel like paper. Although I've heard it can wear pen nibs down pretty quickly. Oh yeah, and the Apple Pen is not cheap, not cheap at all. They gouge you hard. You're like, what are you people doing? So when thumbnailing, I thumbnail from like back to front, and then when drawing, I draw from front to back. That makes sense. was thinking a lot about, because I'm doing it also with this piece where I'm using a lot of round shapes, circles, which are normally like friendly, bouncy shapes, but I'm using them in the service of something disgusting. So that's kind of like what I'm going with here. So there's a lot of like kind of round, pillowy shapes. And then there's all this crazy stuff. So weird. And they all have these like bulges at the bottom. So weird. And I've looked at turkeys many, many times for reference. It's good to know, see? Okay, that's awesome. Maybe I will pick that up. And I'll use a little bit of line weight for separation. Yeah, drawing time tonight. Am I going to sculpt it as well? Probably not, because I have like so much stuff on the docket. But um, I will keep this guy in the back pocket if I ever need something. This is kind of fun. So thinking about the creases. I'll try and just mess up the silhouette just a little bit. Put more hairs. I need more hairs. And let's do this. Also, what's nice about Krita is it has a hotkey for mirror. So mirror, me. So I'll do that every so often, just to switch it up and look at something different. Oh, I had his little like baby arms in there. So I'm going to draw the webbing of the skin. This area right here. Before I come down to here. And just because it's in our kind of like sketch here, doesn't mean we can't like improvise and add things on. I don't ever think of it as like anything set in stone. There's always time for like little mutated fingers. Because I like mutated fingers, and I think, you know, if you can fit them in somewhere, you should. And then his little baby mutant turkey arms, kind of like this. Baby mutant turkey arms. Coming soon to a theater near you. See, it's different when Matt's not here because, who do I shout weird, stuff to? Hmm. Well, um, here's the thing: is you just got to commit, and it's mileage, right? The more time you spend doing one thing, you will get better at it. But you have to understand, drawing is much, much harder. Um, drawing is a skill that you must continuously exercise, or else you lose it. So I lost my drawing for a lot of years, and I kind of regret it. So now I'm making a concerted effort to draw more. Um, yeah, if you don't use it, you lose it, and it'll punish you uh, for going away. So drawing can be very rewarding, in that sense. That like once you get it back, you're like and you just have to kind of like put stuff down and then trust the process too, right? Um, you will, the more you get your process down, how you like to do things, then you trust in the process. And that's hard, man. That's really hard. It's hard to trust the process. Even sculpting is hard to trust the process because every drawing has an ugly stage. Every sculpture has an ugly stage. There's a stage like in every sculpt that I do, and I'm like, oh, I hate it so much. Um, but you just have to push through that because you trust the process. And then also, it just gives your brain stuff to fix. So the brain likes to fix stuff. And so if you got nothing to fix, you don't know you actually don't know what's wrong. And sometimes there's nothing wrong. You don't need to fix anything. I'm doing a lot of these little like round, bulgy shapes. Kind of fun. Turkey Kaiju. Now, could I have sculpted this thing? I probably, I would have found my way to this eventually. But drawing is also nice because it just helps you resolve so much stuff very quickly. Sculpting does a lot of the work for you in that, it gives you perspective and form and volume. But there's nothing like drawing where you flex the imagination. Ear hole. Okay, let's add an ear hole. I like ear holes. Um, okay. Flex. Let's do it. All right. Yeah, because I think I spotted an ear. Yeah, look at that thing. Blech. That's so weird. God, they're weird. Weird, weird animals. But like, I think humans are weird looking. Like, we are weird, freaky things too. A little bit of shading in there. Let's do the these little pockets of stuff around it. And sometimes I will switch to like a pen or this mono brush here, which is basically just a big blocky brush. And I'll just throw a little bit of white for like a specular highlight. And that just kind of pops the eye a little bit. There you go. So I will do like a little bit of that. Eventually I would go over the whole thing like this and add, like little specular pops. But I like to do it around the eye just to pop it initially. Yeah, freaky animal. Got to go to a duck farm earlier this year. That was awesome. And it was a duck sanctuary. So the guy rescues like ducks that are injured and he nurses them back to health. Owner's name is Howard, literally. Not joking. Anyway, so you just walk around and it's like ducks and geese everywhere, and it is awesome because they're actually really friendly. His are friendly. I've known some not so friendly geese. And yeah, they get all up in your face, and it's awesome. Let's start finding the other part of this arm here. I'm gonna do some like spikes coming off the elbow. Kind of a nice way to like transition. And I just kind of address stuff as I see it. It's so cute. It's so cute. Geese are, yeah, geese are terrifying. My college I attended had Canadian geese and gooses and all kind of swans. Swans, they were mean. Those suckers were mean as hell. Yeah, so I am in awe of the fearsome might of the Canadian goose. It is true. Gnarly, gnarly, awful, awful animals. My favorite birds are crows. Crows are just the best. I love them. Love my seasonal spooky birds. My goal this year was to make friends with the crow, and I didn't get to do it. It's hard to make friends with crows because I have dogs and they chase away the crows. What, dinosaurs? I respect dinosaurs. So now I'm kind of like transitioning some feathers. No secret in really how I'm doing it. It's just it's almost the same kind of shape. But for the belly here, I'm definitely going to carry this through. Like make it give him like a big nasty belly that's like overlapping like this. Ugh, big nasty belly. He's just a nasty belly boy. And a little bit more line weight to help cut him out. Thank you. Thank you, Chris. It's really impressive. Brain goes straight to painting, and it's hard to force myself to draw. Yeah, I mean, like that's the thing with painting is you can just like go right away. Um, I have a harder time painting than I do drawing, and I think that's just because I come from drawing. Um, but yeah, I mean, like as long as you find what you're comfortable with, and it's you are producing art, then I mean, it doesn't really matter. I think that's why art is so mysterious and is mysterious to us is because we all have access to the same tools and our brains are also radically different. Uh, Example is like there's so many artists that I admire, but like I admire artists that are just able to take blobs of color and just turn that into something beautiful. It's just so cool. Um, there are artists that only draw or paint or that they have their thing that they do and they like and they're just good at that. I like to try a little bit of everything. I definitely don't feel like I have a thing that I do. Obviously, I like ZBrush and I like using 3D, and that's a big chunk of my portfolio. That also was because of the studio that I got work at, and because I worked there and 3D was kind of the thing, I just got good at it. And then if I had found my way into another studio and I was only drawing every day, all day, I would be in a different place in my drawing. Whatever you're willing to do and practice, you'll get good at. But you have to be willing to put in the work all the time. That's one thing my mentor Jared Morantz said to me. He said, it's a lifestyle, and I was like, what does that mean? What do you mean lifestyle? And I get it now. I get what he means. And you just kind of like you live it, you eat it, you breathe it. Yeah, yeah. This is like yeah, exactly. Like um, you'll have the technical side of stuff, the software, the hardware, um, little things like that. But the art you will be doing for the rest of your life. and that's kind of beautiful. Um, I can't imagine myself ever being bored ever again because I've always got stuff to do or stuff to think about. Like I feel like I look at sunsets differently. I look at the world differently now. There's so much like amazing, cool shit. And aren't we lucky that we get to experience it? It's kind of beautiful. And that's why I'm making a messed up turkey monster, right? Because of beauty. It's funny because you can admire beauty and then make something just completely heinous and ugly, from that knowledge acquired from the beauty. I love it. How did I go about finding my mentor? Well, I was very lucky because I was at Gnomon. So I'm a Gnomon alumnus. I graduated in 2010. Um, and I was taking a class with Jared Morantz and Hong Lee, and they were teaching production design, and so the first half was Hong, and his section was amazing, and then Jared Morantz took over the second half, and I saw his work, and I was just like blown away, I was like, oh my God, this is what I want to learn to do. I saw him and I was like, oh my God, this guy's the coolest. Um, and he happened to come back the next week and he said that the studio he was working at needed was doing an internship. And I was like, right here, buddy. And my hand went up right away and he was like, is that Jared? Okay. And I was there a week later and I was learning from him, um, and learning from a lot of other really, really amazing artists who were there at the time. Um, a lot of whom went like to work at Marvel, you know. So very, very cool. So every situation is different. Everyone breaks in a different way. I kind of happen to be at the right place at the right time. And I just figured if I put in my FaceTime at the studio and have get to know everybody, everybody gets to know me. If I do the work and I come in every day, eventually I'll learn stuff, and that turned into a job for 7 years where I worked, and it allowed me amazing opportunities. I worked on like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. That was my favorite property as a kid, and to get to work on it was amazing. And then I got to work on like Pete's Dragon, and the sequel to Independence Day was more than like I ever could have imagined. And but it came at the expense of a lot of like blood, sweat, and tears. Like as I struggled, a lot. Um, you don't walk into a studio where everybody's like omega level talented and not go like, oh my god, I'll never be this good. You know what I mean? Like everybody was really, really good, and they were doing professional work at lightning speed. And so because I was surrounded by these artists who are just like really cool people, they were very generous with their knowledge, and so they pass. Maybe they think I wasn't listening, but I heard all of it, and I absorbed. Every day I just absorbed, and it was awesome. If you ever can, go get into a studio and work with people who are better than you, because you have no choice but to like just improve just by osmosis, just absorbing everything. I learned how creature designers talk to each other. I learned how they talked about anatomy. I learned how they talked about like storytelling. I learned how they pitched ideas. Um, I learned how they problem solved the art in the process. And Jared was very generous with his knowledge and his time and his friendship. And Jared would go on to design the bat suit, you know? So it was like coolest thing. And, I knew he was a massive Batman fan. So um, tips on pitching. Interesting. Um, Sometimes you just gotta go for it. Just put your idea out there, but you have to have the idea very clearly formed before you throw something out. Um, an example of pitching um, was Godzilla vs. Kong. Uh, I'm sitting there in the meeting across from Adam Wingard, the director, and he's telling me things he wants for Mechagodzilla. So this was like say after the first pass that I did. So I got the approval to keep working on the character, and he was giving me some kind of things that they wanted because they didn't want the hands to look like Godzilla. They wanted the silhouette to look different enough. So I said, "Oh, we could do like mirror hands," and um, that was just something I threw out there very quick. I don't think they registered it until they saw it in the art. So it was kind of like a very quick thing. So sometimes it's quick, sometimes it's you know uh, pitching is a very fast thing. Sometimes you're just throwing out ideas, but you have to just have confidence in the idea. And if it's not right, it's okay. That's the point. It also depends on who your audience is. If you know that they're comfortable pitching stuff. Um, so every situation is a little different. Now, if you're pitching your own stories, your own property to somebody else, then you need to know every detail about your story. You need to know everything, every single little detail about your story and your characters, because people will ask you questions. Which is good because if they're asking questions, it means they're engaged. But if you know if you don't know anything about your story and you can't answer every single minute question about it, they'll start poking holes into it, and when they poke holes, they insert their ideas. So you have to have everything mapped out, unless, of course, you are in a group where you're working on something together. In that case, it's all about collaboration, and you're just throwing stuff out to see what sticks. I'm currently doing an art test for a job that I applied for. Your stream keeps me awake at 5 a.m. Thank you. Oh my God, I hope you get some sleep. I hope you get some rest. But thanks for hanging out with me. Hi. Thank you very much, Comic Boy. Yes, mutant turkey kaiju tonight. Get that raptor claw in there. And the the back claw as well. So I'm following the contour of the leg. And then I'll kind of like break it up into a scale. It's kind of by adding some width, some line weight. Didn't really do it here, so it's not as successful. But this worked out pretty well. Okay. Doing the feet. And just remember that overlap creates depth. More overlapping forms you have, the more depth it's going to give the design. I finished my little trip hop. Let's go back to scary. Okay, then we'll get the other toe. Get this finished up. Then we'll get the other raptor claw in there. Realize I didn't really make this big enough. It doesn't matter what medium. Doesn't matter what medium you're doing it. Drawing is redrawing. Sculpting is resculpting. Writing is rewriting. You just have to be willing to do it over and over and over again until you get it right. Yeah, it is a little. The perspective is a little tricky. Scales, scales on scales. And then when in doubt, zoom out, flip it. A little bit of shadow there. And then lots more of this like stuff. Let's see. More line weight underneath the arm. Line weight will help create separation. Yeah, thank you. Hell yeah. I'm glad you're enjoying it. I'm having fun making a little turkey kaiju, right? We love our turkey kaiju, don't we, folks? I am definitely a noodler. Like I like to noodle on details. I realized that about myself. Especially working on this, and like I was doing all these little like ticks and stuff, and I was just like, oh, I like this. I think that's also because after like Cuphead month, where I was just doing rubber hose characters, um, I was like, please, I want to detail. Yeah, I was doing all the Cuphead characters, and I'm like, these are really fun, but the goal here is simplification of form as opposed to like the overexpression of detail. And so this was challenging in a completely different way than my usual kind of like method. So now that I'm like back to like drawing monsters and stuff, I'm like, oh, please give me that detail. Give me that delicious detail. Okay. Um, but one thing that helps that I like to do is I like to do this opposite thing where you go one up, one down, one up, one down, like this. And then when you kind of connect them, it creates this kind of pathway. So it's a really fun kind of like way to detail stuff. And this could feel like feathers, you know? What's kind of fun about like how you detail it is it could feel like feathers or bulges, or also how we render it will also change kind of how we feel. Little spiky hairs coming off too. But as best I can, I'm always trying to follow the contour. So I'll group down on the underdrawing a little bit. So slowly, it's like my underdrawing starts to disappear. Oh, I like that. The unthankful monster. Unthanks. Unthanksgiving. Like little spikes up here, little triangle shapes. And those same kind of like little triangles are going to go up here too. And this could be like a cool feature. It could be like a buzz saw. You know, could go. Always think about like what the creature can do, because they're looking for ideas too. They're looking for um, things it could do in animation. This kind of was the point of Mechagodzilla. Is I was always thinking like, okay, what else could it do? What else could it do? Where can we hide more stuff, more reveals? That would be really interesting, to make a challenge for Godzilla. You can see as I get looser, how much more like fluid the drawing becomes. Also notice that I'm not second guessing every damn decision I make. Do that at the thumbnail stage. But when you're at the drawing stage like that, just commit to the structure. We have a monstrous black rooster in Polish mythology named Krobuk. Krobuk. I have a feeling they would be dear friends. That is cool. A monstrous black rooster in Polish mythology. Well, now I want to draw that. But he would look different than this. See, that's really cool. When you can draw on monsters in your heritage. That's super cool. That's also something like an A24 movie would use. Just draw and pretend that you know what you're doing. We're all just faking it, right? Anyway. So now I'm just going to add a little highlight here just for fun. I love highlights. They're so much fun to draw and paint. It's like the most fun. All I'm doing is just hitting the X key, which switches between black and white. That's default in Photoshop too. All these nasty little bumps here would get highlights. And we're getting pretty close. I'm not going to color it tonight, but I'll do we'll do a little bit of marker shading. Okay. Some tail feathers that are coming out this way. Just looks like there's more stuff going on. You can just indicate some details. Might erase some spots here or there just to bring some areas of rest back. tail. I can't see the brush you're using on my small phone screen. I'm sorry. I'm just using a pencil brush, so nothing crazy. Let's see. That neck could expand to shoot toxic gas or shoot fruitcake, because fruitcakes are evil. This is a Thanksgiving horror monster, so fruitcake would be pretty amazing. Yeah, like the yeah, you could do the neck here, right? So here's the head, and then like crow's back, right? And then the neck like swells out, and all these pores open up, right? And then starts shooting like noxious gas. And our hero has to wear a gas mask, right? And it would looks really cool and foggy in the city. Shh, raw. And it goes like raw, right? Yeah. Um, when did you know you wanted to do art as a profession? Uh, I don't know. I feel like this chose me. Um, I've been drawing since I was a little kid. I always loved movies and video games and comic books. Um, so drawing was kind of like always in my back pocket. I didn't take it seriously until I was in my 30s. Um, and so I didn't really know that this was possible. I was just kind of like, I never put it together that you could like do this for a living. So it's a little strange. Um, I think people are, the kids today are very lucky that there is an abundance of resources. You know, it's kind of why I like to do the streaming bit, is because yeah, man, I didn't have this stuff when I was a kid. Excuse me. Thank you. Mm, thank you very much. I'm having a lot of fun. Yeah, thank you. I just want to get this tail fixed up. So it's like I don't have to like draw every feather. Let's try. As long as I kind of get the shape right. Let's see. That's interesting. There's kind of like, I think you're the first pro that I've seen use Krita. Oh, that's awesome. I know that Aaron Blaze, he goes by Creature Art Teacher on YouTube. I know he's messed with Krita and he got some cool results. Um, but when I was first using Krita, um, yeah, I was hungry for any information because there's not a lot out there on it, not like a crazy amount. But I love this. Man, this is my favorite This is my favorite drawing software. It is. It just feels exactly like real materials to me. And then I just hope that they make like one for iPad so I can like use Krita on iPad because that would be cool. But it's open source software, so it's free, and so that's why I don't think it will come to iPad. I don't know. Yeah, see how they have these like this fur at the end of it? Just kind of indicating detail. Slowly I just turn off. I just turned it off. I'm just committing. Got rid of my underdrawing. I'm just trying to vary up the beat, you know? And then there's these weird little feathers coming down, too. I'm going to do these little feathers here. I'm doing it kind of with like little U's. Just like U, or V. See, V, I think a hard edge, so I think like a V for like a spike. You know, that's a V. But this is like a U. A little bit of line weight to help create separation. Just kind of adding some more of these, I think. Could be kind of fun. Perspective on this is bothering me a little bit, so I'm just gonna do this. This is kind of a cool tool in the transform. Is it turns it into a card, so you can kind of scale it in perspective. So that's a fun little trick. Do I have my only? Let's see. There's a couple things I'm catching up on. I'm switching to Krita from Clip Studio, just to use vector layers. CSP tutorials are all over the place. Yeah, I didn't like Clip Studio. It just felt like overly complex to me. So I never like hung on to it. But I know there are artists who like swear by it, and it's awesome. But it never stuck with me. So Krita again, I keep coming back to it. Let's see. How long can you draw before your wrist feels like it's about to fall off? I mean, I can go all day. Um, if I do the proper things. If I like massage my arms, or if I'm doing gua sha regularly, which is muscle scraping. So if I'm keeping up with like keeping my arms healthy, then I can draw all day. Um, if I'm not keeping up with that, I've burned out my arms before. It's really awful. Do not recommend. So I can draw all day. Do I have my own channel or only for Gnomon? Only for Gnomon, Tuesday nights. That's wild. Yeah, we're having some fun. We're having some fun, baby. I'm the baby. That's me. I'm talking to myself. I'm the baby. So yeah, that's the transform, which is super cool. So there's a lot of fun, kind of like nifty toys. Uh, The other one is pretty cool is that it has perspective tools. So you can draw 2 points out for a horizon line. And it's actually got like nice perspective tools. And when you go into your brush and actually draw, it's actually giving you the perspective cues here. So I love Krita. A lot of them, it's really hard to get this kind of perspective stuff. But in Krita, which is super cool, it lets you continue to draw and then gives you the cues here. Yeah, I love it. And then when you're done, you can just delete it. I think there's a way to delete it. Yeah. So then when you're done, you just delete it. Boom. So that's in the tool options. So yeah, I love Krita. Krita. Please sponsor me. I would love that. This is the only tool I want to use for drawing now. So that feels pretty good as far as like, okay, I've got the guy down. And at some point I got to move on. So I'm going to do a little bit of marker rendering, and then I'll call it a night. So also, which again, I love this program, and I learned this kind of by accident, but you can actually marker on top of the pencil, and it will actually kind of like smudge the pencil. See this one? It'll actually like smudge a little bit of the pencil with it, which is exactly what would happen um, if you were drawing on paper. But I don't like to do that. I'm just going to create a new layer. And I'm going to pick like a warmish tone. I like to use warm tones for everything. And then I'm just going to use a little bit of marker here. I'm using this blue kind of tipped marker. I also like this one. This one has a little bit more edge to it. But I like this one because this one's perfect for rendering. I also like this gray one because this one is it's just less intense. So I'll definitely use it to like uh, build up value that way. So I'm just kind of switching between these two markers, and it feels exactly like using Prismacolor. So I love it. It feels so natural. It's so cool. So I'll build up just a little bit of value, just kind of where the shadows are. Kind of thinking where shadow or like ambient occlusion would be. I like that one because it really you have to build up the you have to build up the values. Okay, get all this stuff underneath. It also responds really well to pen pressure, like even better than Photoshop, I think. And it's free, right? The program is free. Underside would get more shadow here. just on the kind of underside of things here, or either indicating kind of like texture or feather. Just building up a little value here. Let's go ahead and shrink down the thumbnail. Just so that's up in the corner. Got our marker. And then again, like every brush is also its eraser. So that when you erase, it feels texturally the same. It's really, really cool. It's really, really cool. And it just feels like using markers again. I do love it so. Okay. I'm going to go back to my pencil layer, and I'm going to just hit it with a little bit of pen for some like more of these little highlights. So this is like using a gel pen. Just kind of hit the highest points of the form here. And just imagine that the light source is coming down this way. And I'm not going to put these everywhere. I might even hit like a few points with black. It's like using ink on top of it. That'll help with some of the contrast. Especially like a focal area like the eye, where you just want people to go to it. And then I will use like same kind of technique with the marker, but this time I'll do it with a white highlight. And I'll just kind of brush in a little bit of highlight too. And if you're working at a good, decent pace, you can do like 2 or 3 of these kinds of drawings a day. If I'm like really cranking and I'm working fast and feeling good. But this would be enough to like get approval to take it into 3D. Or depending on the client, they might want me to render this more, and that's it. All depends. A little bit of highlight here. Move the turkey neck toxic drawing over here. Some exploration. Everything is wet and like a little juicy. Maybe I'll do a little bit of the teeth here. I have like some little mini teeth that I've buried in there. So I'll kind of pop those a little bit. And I'm going to do a little bit of drool coming down. So you can see that. Because why not? He is hungry for some taters. Or he's hungry for vengeance. So any of these like little lumpy parts that I want to feel like they're popping out a little bit. He's got little lumpies. He got them little lumpies. Our little lumpy boy. So grown up. Trying to hit the highlight here. Pop. Now, if I really want to like render it, do a little bit of a rim light here. Also pop that out. Let's see. I don't know if I want to keep it or not. Let's see. Again, it's just for like pops the silhouette a little bit. And then you can kind of like cheat and render a little bit. Yeah, this is why it's good to do it on a different layer, so you can kind of brush out some of the intensity here. Go back. So the rim light would be coming this way. Just kind of cheating a little bit. And then I'll kind of like brush out some of the intensity with the marker eraser. Now just kind of blend. I'll give it one last kind of like little cross check. And it's pretty fun for a little turkey sketch there. Little turkey kaiju sketch. Maybe we do one last pass of like hair on top of this. Some like gross, good fun. Well, I think that's it for tonight, folks. We did it. We drew a turkey kaiju in a relatively short period of time. So, pretty fun. I had fun. Thank you guys for joining me. Thank you to Gnomon School of Visual Effects, as always, the MIT of Visual Effects in West Hollywood, California. Thank you to Lenovo, sponsor of Creature Corner. Thank you to my co-host, Matt Millard, for eating way too much pudding tonight. The man loves pudding, and what can I say? If you want to contact me and say hello to me, I'm at Monster Mash 42 on Twitter. We'll see how much longer. And then I'm on at Instagram at Jared Krichevsky. I am also on Hive Social now at Jared Krichevsky. We'll see if Hive lasts. I don't know. It's all crumbling and falling apart. So thank you guys. Thank you very much. Have a good night. I love you. And we'll see you next time on Creature.